Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. This is going to be a video in the form of a podcast. I've done these in the past. I've done discussions with people like Jarba and Jukes, and I've used to make videos where they were like an hour long of me just talking by myself, answering questions from the community, talking about different stuff in FIFA Ultimate Team. But I wanted to try something different. I wanted to do an actual podcast where I'm in the face cam right now. I'm streaming all this live, and I want to have discussions with the people who watch my stuff, the people that have their opinion about the game, and whether they share my opinion or they have their own opinion. I'm really interested to see how people feel. I have my boy Alberto here, who's been in my stream for years. We're talking like 3-4+ years in my chat. Really, really cool guy. I'm gonna let him introduce himself because obviously he knows more about himself than I do. So I'm just gonna let you take over there, man. Just introduce yourself, what your name is, what you do, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll just go from there.
Basically, I've been playing FIFA since FIFA
Sorry,
14.
start that again because my thing wasn't recording for a
No
second. Go
problem, no
again.
problem. Yeah, so my name's Albert. I also go by Alberto or Albertoli Ravioli on Twitch and social media and all that. I've been playing FIFA since FIFA 14. So is that about 5 years, five plus years now.
Yeah.
I really love the sport. I really love the game. I really love the concept of the game. Uh, I actually work in esports. I'm a writer. I cover esports for a website called Exerto. I'm involved in the online gaming community in more ways than one, both for the sake of my leisure and for my career. So yeah, that's basically like a brief intro about me and who I am and how I relate to FIFA.
Okay. Awesome, man. So the discussion we were having before my boy was getting into it was the transition between FIFA 18 and FIFA 19 and why he started. So if you want to start off with that again in terms of FUT champs being 40 games, switching to 30 games, and then division
Right,
rivals being a thing, and the reward system being different, so on and so
right.
forth. My question to you, right, and this is a question I'm going to be asking a lot of people, is what do you think is the current state of FIFA? How do you feel about this game right now as a regular player, in a competitive point of view, as a regular point of view, a fun point of view? What are your thoughts towards this game in general? You can just go completely off.
Okay, well, I'll sort of get into that by continuing the point I was making before we started recording, which was, last year, FIFA 18. Well, we say last year in terms of FIFA years, not right now, actual years, but FIFA 18. From at the beginning, I thought what was they had gotten so many things right in terms of unlocking the potential of what the game could be. And then everybody started whining about defending and how it was so attacking based and it was hard to defend. So they overpowered AI defending to the point where it became, you didn't have to control your center backs at any point. You just had to you didn't even have to control your CDMs because everyone who knows how to play FIFA well knows that you don't control your center backs. You just get your CDM and you cut off passing lanes and with your midfielders. But you didn't even have to do that in 18. You would just grab your striker. People would grab their strikers and wingers and defend with them. And then they would use the overpowered AI defending of their midfielders, defenders, and center backs to AI intercept, block shots, and all that. So the FIFA 18 became not that fun, and what sort of added to that was weekend league was 40 games, which is a tremendous amount of games, and you'd never wanted to miss one because the monthly rewards were so valuable that if you missed a single weekend league, that really like damaged your chances of getting like a good ranking for monthly. So all that added together, and the fact that the game sort of died down so much earlier than when FIFA usually dies down, I just felt like maybe and Black Ops 4 was going to come out this year. I'm a huge COD guy as well, so I thought, okay, maybe I'm not gonna get FIFA. Maybe I'll just play like Spider-Man and single player games until uh, Black Ops 4 comes out, and that's how I'll play my multiplayer. But then they came out and said, okay, we're reducing the weekend league to 30 games. We're taking out monthly rewards, and that made me think, okay, well, gameplay wise, we don't know how the game's gonna be until we play it, so I can't really be judge FIFA 19 before I actually play it. And in terms of the way the weekend league and rewards work, the two main contentions I had with it were being resolved, were being fixed and improved. So I said, okay, you know what? That convinced me. So I bought the game, and it took me about 2-3 days to realize, okay, something's not right. This feels like FIFA 18, but the bad version, like even worse
A
version of
worse
FIFA
version
18.
of
So,
it. Yeah.
yeah, it feels like they took the what everything about FIFA 18, they stripped out anything that made it acceptable or good, and they just kept the bad parts of it and made that like spread out on into all of its aspects. So I was like, some of this doesn't seem right. So I played a couple of weekend leagues. I went to TwitchCon, so that was a weekend, so I skipped that. And then I realized, you know what? I don't need to play FIFA. I could just play Call of Duty. I'm fine with that. You know, the game's not fun. I'm not gonna stress about it. And then they came out with these patch notes. The patch notes. These crazy, full of like graphical analysis and charts and lines drawn off players' feet and all this fancy language about AI defending this and we're nerfing this and that and nerfing blocks, which as we know, FIFA 19 is block like FIFA blocks 19. Like it's literally one of the most annoying things in the game. How these
It's
automatic AI
deflection
blocking,
galores. Yeah.
yeah, all that shit. So we thought, okay, so the to be more specific, not to like generalize too much about it, these are the things that I read that convinced me to come back again. Where those deflections where you would tackle the ball and it would bounce back to them, they said they were going to nerf that. So I said, okay, that's a huge annoying factor of the game, annoying aspect. Okay, they're fixing that. Good. The AI blocking, how the players are not going to go out of their way as much to block shots, AI, and then the defending is not going to be as OP. And then those first time finesses and we'll talk about finesses, but those first time finesses and all that were being nerfed. So I thought, okay, so all these things that were everybody's complaining about, including me, are being nerfed allegedly. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll try it again after these patches come out. The patches come out, I start playing, and I realized there is not there is not much difference between the gameplay before those and afterwards in terms of those mechanics. I've still I was still pretty much like statistically, I'm guessing if you take all of the tackles everybody's making and see what percentage of those tackles in every single game every single player plays are bouncing back to the opponent's player after you tackle it, oftentimes in a more favorable position than as if you hadn't tackled in the first place, and you take that percentage before the patches and after, and I'm assuming the difference is going to be very minimal, if not none. And the difference is going to be a margin of error that was existing anyway when you analyze something statistically that way. It's not something that you could say, okay, well, it's 0.5% less, so that means the patches are working. No, that's just a margin of error that these types of statistical analyses reflect anyway. So you can't really judge it by that. Now, obviously, I don't have the data in front of me, and I don't think data like that exists, but I'm like judging from my personal experience and judging from players I see play like you and Pugs. I watch Pugzilla a lot. People like that play the game, and I not pro players, but like casual, semi-casual players that I see all these tackles bouncing back, all these deflections, all this AI things, and I'm thinking to myself from my experience and theirs, I'm like, nothing seems to be fixed. The only thing that seems to be true in these patch notes they're writing is that the new boots and the player faces they're adding to the game because and those like differences in menus. Otherwise, player wise, it's not nothing's changing, and that also applies to the most recent one where they said we're fixing the connection. Okay, I guess they tried to use a hot word like the server connection or whatever wording they used to catch the attention of people that know about that are aware of the gameplay connection issue in the game, and they thought they could like sort of maybe not, I don't want to say fool, but sort of like grab people's attention by using those words, but they did not use the words, those phrases, those terms in the same way that you and I and people who know about the issues recognize those terms. We think of gameplay issues as those like those little laggy connection. You know what I'm talking about, the what you always talk about, those delayed touches, those delayed movements, the passing that's delayed, the feels like your players are in mud, it feels like your players are underwater, it feels like it's Matrix FIFA edition, it feels like all these things, right? And then so when we see gameplay issues, we think of that. What they see connection issues, I think, is just latency bar, actual ping and stuff like that. But that I do not think that's based on your connection to your opponent. I think that's just a core deep down server issue with the EA Sports itself, not anybody's internet connection, not anybody's connection to their opponent. I believe it's something that's very inert and very deep down and so integrated into the core of the game that I just truly believe that they cannot fix it. I don't think there's a solution that they are aware of that is maybe feasible for them to fix it. Now, maybe, you could say, okay, well, why don't they just revamp their whole server system, or maybe just throw it away and scratch it out and start from scratch again? But again, why would they? Like, that goes to the whole issue of why would EA Sports do anything that we ask them to do, right? Because EA Sports holds such a tight monopoly over this, over the game, over the like soccer based like simulation games, that there's very little incentive for them to do it, because everyone's still going to spend the FIFA points. Now, you may think, okay, well, statistics may show, I don't know if they do, but they may show that this year the FIFA points are being spent like at a less rate than they are, but the amounts are still so astronomical, and the game sales and all of that are so astronomical that even a slight decrease is not going to worry, because there is no competitor. I mean, PES is not a competitor to FIFA in terms of like the Goliath that EA Sports is versus Konami in terms of these sporting games. Like, it's not a valid competitor. No one's gonna switch to FIFA, switch from FIFA to PES because of anything right now that is in the game. Even you, like, you complaining about the game, rightfully. I don't want to say complaining in like a negative, with a negative connotation, but you
Hmm.
point out all of the bad things about the game, and you're very accurate. I completely agree with everything, but you don't switch to PES, right? You still play FIFA, you still cover FIFA content, you still you do all those things. And I'm not saying that anything against you. I'm just saying, like, it just goes to show that even the people that have such a true and correct perspective of the problems of the game do not switch. And so if you, who recognize something as like that's so critically wrong with the game, don't switch, then the casual player who just plays the game casually is never going to switch. All these players who, oh, it's team of the year, let me buy, like, whatever. I don't spend money on FIFA points usually. That's what they would say. But let me just spend few bucks on FIFA team of the year. Maybe I'll pack something good. All those little FIFA points here and there, all those big streamers, everything, all that is just such a huge thing for EA Sports, that has put EA Sports at such a pedestal that they cannot be competed with. So there's no real incentive for them to go out of their way and spend considerable amount of money to fix something that honestly not a lot of people even know. Not the casual player base doesn't really know about those server delays and issues. And it's people like you who know the game inside and out that can point it out and recognize it. But other people might be like, oh man, my opponent connection sucks, so my players are having delayed touches and this and that. But we know that it's not that, but they don't, so they're never going to switch. And so I think that really is like it's almost like a dead end, man. There's really nothing like we could do. We could voice our opinions. You and I could stop spending FIFA points, but people are always going to do it. People are always going to buy the game every year. People are going to play it. It's not like in the near future, no one it's not like FIFA's sales are going to drop by 50% one year compared to the previous year. That's never going to happen, because there's no competitor, there's no company. And the reason there's no competitor, no one says, okay, damn, like, look at all these issues with FIFA, man. This presents an opportunity for us to create a good game. Because of licensing, people don't want to play with like Manchester Blue jerseys. They want to play with Manchester City jerseys. They don't want to see this. And then even with the Champions League, like, them getting the Champions League too further like cements their monopoly on the FIFA simulation game scene. So I just feel like it's almost like a dead end. There's really nothing we could do that could incentivize EA Sports to make an actual change. Sorry, that was a very long ramble,
No,
but
dude. Like I said,
go ahead.
I want to hear your point of view, because when I make content for my viewers, they're always listening to my point of view, but I like to listen to somebody else's point of view. And I agree with you in the sense of, when it comes to gameplay issues, a lot of it's not even a lot. It's going to be a very huge majority of people who play FIFA are not really going to see FIFA and be like, oh, my game feels different right now than it did before. They're not going to really look at it that much. They're just going to be like, oh, this is just a connection issue, right? As your regular players, they're still going to spend the money on the game, and so on and so forth. The thing, the thing with me though is, right, and it's a good thing and it's a curse at the same time, right? To always talk about the gameplay inconsistencies, wanting it to be fixed, because I feel like after 5+ different installments of it, it's kind of annoying that it just hasn't been fixed yet. But the only plus side to it nowadays is that I feel like when I used to mention it back in the day, it would fall on deaf ears and people wouldn't really pay attention to it. I made videos on this in the past where I used to go to the studios and the guys would just completely ignore me when I would bring it up to them. But nowadays, and again, this is a big thing that people think is the case, but it's not. People like Corey and Zaro are there to communicate and tell people. And I can't say everything that Zaro tells me, but Zaro does watch all my videos, and they do know what I'm talking about in terms of gameplay balance, in terms of what finishing opportunities should be going in based off of their specific game mechanics. Like if you have defensive AI to be overpowered, your goalies can't be overpowered too, because it just makes no sense. There's an imbalance there, and they actually nowadays understand that, and they actually bring that to the development team. My problem with EA, right, is the fact that we still deal with these certain situations, and the fact that they don't really take the opinions of the community when they're making their video games. For instance, you were going in terms of, you know, their specific game mechanics of not being balanced, and it's a fundamentally broken game, because one, the gameplay is always different, and two, even when your gameplay is good, it's just finesse shots, goalie movement, and your 1v1 sometimes miss from good opportunities, right? So the game is completely misbalanced in that regard. But I think the way that EA Sports have made FIFA as a video game, they just didn't go in the right direction at all, right? I think forcing the competitive aspect on a game like FIFA is okay, but you need to have separate options to make it a fun football simulator, because I feel like when you just make your players only play against competitive players, only using the select 100 or so players, when you have thousands of players in the game, you can use different formations, tactics. Everyone is using the 4-2-3-1 because the whole game revolves around winning and meta, right? And that going hand in hand with inconsistent gameplay is a huge issue. I know for a straight fact what I get all the time, and I get this all the time from the regular dudes who play FIFA, is I'll get people who will be like, oh, but you know, even if the gameplay's bad, you still gotta win in it. That's true, that's fine. You can think that way if you want, but the way that the gameplay is right now, and the way that it has been for the past 5 different installments of FIFA, 5+ different installments of FIFA, is completely unacceptable. And for me personally, and again, I always speak my mind, I'm going to say exactly how I feel, and you know, this hurts my content, and that's fine, because I'm willing to sacrifice my content to try to fix this game. A lot of people are not, but I'm willing to, okay? I cannot accept, right, people's criticism of the game when they know the gameplay is inconsistent and bad, but they still spend thousands of dollars on the game. I just cannot accept an opinion from someone that is doing that, because for me personally, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because for me, right, if I was a competitive player, let's just say if I would never go to the competitions, because I wouldn't support this game on a competitive level. I would never spend the FIFA points, because I don't support EA as a company producing such a piece of shit to us and then giving it to us and be like, here it is. Because when you are a hardcore player of this game, you truly and truly see how big of a cash cow it actually is. Because Division Rivals is completely oriented around meta, so it's about you trying to get all the icons and the legends for you to get good rewards. Division Rivals, no matter what anybody tells you, is way worse than Divisions back in the day, because Divisions back in the day, I was able to make 60K a day if I grinded for the whole day, making my coins through gameplay. And what you get nowadays for going in Division 1, Rank 1 is piss! Playing against harder players every single day for worse rewards than what you used to get back in the day. So I'm getting heated because I feel like the way that EA makes FIFA in general is terrible, right? Now, do I
Bro,
stream the game and
yeah.
do I hope that EA makes a better game? Absolutely, but I think everything about the game sucks. If you're into the market and you're into it from a business point of view, that's completely fine, right? But the thing about this game, right, is that you are paying $90 nowadays, essentially, for a card simulator. You're getting these cards and you're getting happy for what? You're not going to be using these cards in game. You're not going to sell these players and get, like if I get Team of the Year Ronaldo and I get 7 mil or 8 million coins for it, and I'm not going to
That
want to
means
use
nothing.
those cards to get players I want to try out. No one's
Right.
going to do that. No one does that, right? This
Right.
game is a complete card simulator. You
Yep.
know?
That's part of the reason why I quit FIFA 18 so early. Is I came to the realization that I'm never gonna be a player that's gonna be high caliber enough to make money off this game competitively. So I understand that, I accept that, which puts me in the casual player base. That's where I built. That's where I was in FIFA 18, and I realized that I could be stressing myself out, killing myself over winning, a certain amount of games every weekend, not having fun, and almost it feels like a job. And then I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? The best possible outcome is me getting what players that I can use for the next weekend league. That's literally the best possible outcome. I cannot make money off this game by opening packs. I cannot do anything from the weekend league other than get players for the next weekend league, right? That is the ultimate objective of rewards, is it not? You're either going to get the player you want, or you're going to get a high value player that you're going to sell for another player that you want, right? And what do you want those players for? You want those players to use them in another weekend league, right? And this year, like you made, the whole division rivals completely destroyed the casual aspect of the game in terms of that. And I was laughing. I was actually laughing on that video you made about David Silva because it's so true. Uh, you're going to spend all that money on a player that is not good enough to use. It might be good enough in Division 6 or 5 or even 4, depending on the player you are, but it's never going to be good enough to use in Division 1 or 2. It's never going to be good enough player to use in those like against high skill opponents in the weekend league. And that's ultimately why you want to spend all that money in high level cards to on an SBC to unlock that player, right? And it's way too much overpriced of a card that you take into single matches and just what single matches. What's the end game of single matches? There's no end game of single matches.
You don't
So
even get
there,
enough coins for the
you
fitness you're losing, for the contracts you're
right,
losing, because those by
right,
itself are expensive.
right. There is no end game. Like single matches is just its standalone like a floating thing that has no start or beginning. It's just like a circular thing that has no reward system, has no, so that's completely irrelevant. So you're left with modes that demand, if you want to be competitive, I mean not competitive, if you want to play at a level that you were winning games, not losing, because no one likes losing, you need to use a certain amount of players. Like you said, it's 100 or so players. Icon, starting from the most expensive icon to like a Fabinho, uh, down to a Fabinho, basically. So that's like the spectrum of players. There's only about 100 or so players that you can use to counter the players of the team that you're playing, which happen to have the players from the same exact group you're picking from. There is no variability. There is no range. There's no like interesting spectrum. There's no cool looking teams. And people say, well, I sometimes come across them. Well, yeah, that's outlier. That's not something that you can use in this argument, because that's an anomaly. You normally come up against your Mbappe's, Gareth Bale's, Cristiano Ronaldo's. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think the most often the card I've seen most often in terms of like high value cards this year is Cristiano Ronaldo center mid, because they connect it to Alexandro or Cancelo, and then they move it to striker with the dynamic tactics. That's literally all you see. Conte at striker and move down to CDM. Those are the things you see. And listen, I like dynamic tactics. I like all that. So I think that's a cool like little addition they've made into the game. But again, all these little cool additions, all these little cool things, all this like this like, oh, you could now do this skill move, or you could do this flick, or you could do this, or you could do that. That's all irrelevant, because you're going to be using them and doing them in a game modes that are not fun to play, in a game that's not fun to play. And there's no, like you said, there's no third solid series of game modes, a game mode that you can try out these players, that you can go get a David Silva and try out and get rewards, that you could try out cool teams without the fear of falling behind. I think that fear of falling behind in FIFA is so huge. I read an article that FootWiz, someone that did a podcast with FootWiz, wrote, and it was such a good psychological analysis of FIFA, of players. But players, a lot of players, and I've found myself in this situation often, is they play the game to make sure they don't fall behind the competitive demand for players in terms of like rewards, right? Like or getting enough coins to buy this player. Like you don't want to fall behind. You want to grind the game to get the coins to complete the SBC before it runs out, because you know that if you don't complete the SBC and someone you come up against does, they you're gonna lose that battle. So it's like the fear of falling behind. People get so blinded by the smoke and mirrors of FIFA, they actually forget why they're spending money on players, why they're playing weekend league, why they're grinding for rewards. The rewards are not like a parcel of money that gets sent to your door. The rewards, like I said, are a means to get more players there, for you to use in the next weekend league. There's no solid like value to that playing those modes. There isn't. And people say SBC this, oh crazy, like pack offer this, like this that, and then they forget that all of these things just contribute to more players for you to use to play the game. Half of them you're not going to use anyway. So at the end, if the game is not fun to play, then everything surrounding it is not worth doing. Everything surrounding it is not worth playing, because at the end, the only thing that matters in FIFA, I think, I mean, not the only, the most important thing is the quality of the gameplay. If the game is not fun to play, then there's no point in actually doing anything with the game. There is no point. What's the point of completing an SBC for David Silva? If you're going to use it and you're not going to have fun playing, then what's the point of doing it? What is the point? That's why, like, you know, I don't know
Yeah,
if you
that's
agree
why
with my point.
when I made that
Yeah.
video, like the thing is, right, is that I think the reason why we see it this way is because we actually come from a gaming community, right? We don't just play FIFA. We see how a video game should be. And the thing that I always suggested is that, and even you know this from back in the day, even though I did well in FIFA back in the day in divisions, right? I always told people I will never play this game competitively because it will literally suck the soul out of me and the fun out of this game for me if I'm only playing sweaty people all the time, right? Back in the day when I used to play FIFA 15, I used to use like 8 different squads. You remember those 8 different squads? I used to have BPL, the League One team of the season. I used
Yeah,
to have all
100%.
these.
Yeah.
I used to have
Gradle, team of the season, Gradle.
Gradle was my boy, bro. Team of the season, Gradle
Yeah,
was my boy.
I remember that.
Nowadays, and it was fun because when you played divisions back in the day, here's the thing, right? The only reason why there was a balance in divisions back in the day is because divisions was the only game mode that you could play, right? So even if you were in Division 1, you would still be getting matched up with your top 3 divisions. So you'd be getting ranked with Division 3, Division 2, Division 1. But because that was the only game mode that people were able to play, you weren't always facing against sweaty people. When you did come up against someone sweaty, you'd be like, oh shit, this is probably not the best team to use against this guy right now, right? But it would be like whatever, because you would lose or tie or whatever, and be like, well, it happens. At least I got to try the team and have fun, right? Because I think with FIFA nowadays, man, is that losing and failing, right, in other games is way more fun than losing and failing at this game, right? Because in this game, when you lose or fail, especially in this gameplay, right, it is the most frustrating thing in the world. It's not like a learning. When I die in Fortnite, it's the most whatever thing in the world. I died, okay, on to the next game and have fun again. The general gameplay is good. I learn from my mistakes. I go into the next game. But the thing that people don't get, right? The thing that people really don't understand is that having a game, right, that has more of an open matchmaking is what makes a successful game. If you only bought Call of Duty, right, and you were just playing ranked matches, like let's just say you got to the higher ranked, and whenever they release their seasons, right, and you were only playing that for the entire day, you would get stressed out. People like Ninja and Tifu and all these guys that do scrims from time to time, if they did not have their pub matches that has open matchmaking where they come up against top tier players, mid tier players, low tier players, they wouldn't have fun. People don't see this in the FIFA community, but I've seen this so much in the Fortnite community. I think this was, and you know this too, Alberto, because you're an esports writer, so you know about this shit. It was like a month or two ago, I was just seeing Fortnite streamers left, right, and center complaining that people were getting better at the game. And some people, when they look at that, they were like, wow, why are they complaining? Of course people are going to get better at the game. But people don't understand that as a streamer, as a content creator, as a regular player, you don't always want to come across sweaty people. You want to come across people that if I'm using a Super League team with Quaresma in a team and Talishka in a hybrid with the Chinese League, I don't always want to come across sweaty people. I want to come against people who are mid-tier, low-tier, so that I can just fuck around and use those teams and do challenges for those teams and have fun, right? In Fortnite, they asked their community, guys, what do you guys think about us adding skilled matchmaking? And the whole community was like, don't do it, because it's going to be the worst thing ever if that is your only game mode and we're just coming up across sweaty people all the time. The pub matches in Fortnite right now are already sweaty, right? But if they made a tiered rank system for their pub matches, people would not enjoy that game. And that's the current situation with FIFA nowadays, right? FIFA
100%.
FIFA right now, right, is supposed to be, and I don't care what anybody says, okay, because we are made fun of in the gaming community because this game is a pack simulator. Every streamer I watch And that's why I want to be one of those guys that changes this game, okay? Because we are made fun of in this gaming community, on the Twitch community, because we are pack openers. We are pack simulators, okay? We're not gameplay guys. People, when you're watching streamers, the moment the streamers get into the gameplay, they'll lose 6,000, 7,000 viewers. And that's fine. But other games have looting systems. CSGO, Overwatch. But when they get into a game, you don't see that big of a drop-off because people want to see good players play the game. People want to see you play games all the time and get the rewards for those games. Climb up those ranks. Play regular matches and have fun with the game. People watch Ninja play pub matches all day. Pub matches isn't competitive, but people are down to watch him play because he's having fun for the entire day playing a game that's enjoyable. In FIFA, okay, compared to games like Overwatch, Fortnite, Call of Duty, we're not thinking about it from a point of view of like, oh, you can't compare a sports game to a shooter game. That's not the comparison to be made. The comparison to be made is a video game against a video game, right? And in FIFA,
fun versus fun.
Fun versus fun. And in FIFA, right? There should be an infinite amount of things to do in this game because you have thousands of ultimate team players. We're talking thousands of players, right? You gotta take this stupid shit out of this game. This mode right here, online single matches, needs to fuck off, okay? And you need to put online tournament mode there. You have to put online tournament mode there. Let me explain why, and I've explained this a billion times to people before. 3 rounds, you come up against any tiered player. If they're shitters, you'll have fun enough to use a different team against those shitters, right? And then when you get past those qualifying rounds, yeah, you start coming up against people in rounds, and you know, maybe the guys in the quarters and somebody's in the finals are going to be a little bit tougher. But you have a balance of facing different tiered players, and you can use different players to have fun. There should be literally 100+ pages like in pro clubs back in the day when you used to do those achievements. God knows why the fuck they took that out of the game, right? But there should be pages upon pages of shit you should be able to do an Ultimate Team. Use a Norwegian League team. Be forced to use a 4-3-3 formation with these tactics and win with this team, with these set players in there. A fun concept. There's nothing like that in FIFA. Everyone for the past 3 to 4 years have only been using meta players because that is the sole focus of the game. Not having fun, not using Liga NOS teams, not using MLS teams where, you know, we're going to do a challenge where you have to create a hybrid, like I said earlier, with Super League players and Chinese League players. Have Talishka in the team, Quaresma in the team, and fucking Pep in the team when he used to play for Besiktas. He doesn't play anywhere, but I'm just using him as an example. Vida. We'll use Vida as an example, right? Use these players, put players around them only from these leagues, and win this challenge to get this color of a board, to get these, to get a long sleeve for this player, to get a shiny outline on your card, demonstrating that you scored 1,000 goals with them, 100 goals with them, 200 goals with them, 300 goals with them. There is nothing like that in this game. And when I used to complain, and you guys can ask Alberto right now on the podcast, bro, when I used to complain about this game in divisions, that's what I wanted in the game. I wanted something to look forward to every time I played. If I lost, fuck it. At least I scored goals. At least I assisted. At least I got clean sheets to unlock certain things for the game. This game has none of that. And that's the problem. In Call of Duty, you have get 5 frenzy kills, get these headshots, get these camouflages, do these challenges, get 10 kills in a row with this gun. There's none of that in FIFA. And you have literally a transfer market filled with players that never see the light of day in this game because there's no point in using them because the whole game is about winning, and it sucks.
Yep. Dude, if you just think of it, it's kind of mind-blowing how many players there are in the Ultimate Team database that like virtually never get used. If you think about it, it's probably like what, like 99% players virtually never get used in the like, you know, those right backs, left backs that have 50 pace. You know, I'm not even talking about
like exactly those, why are they releasing inform cards that no one's ever going to use? What's the point? What's the point? You literally released, bro, I would love to use an FC Porto team for fun and try to unlock like a cool version of Casillas' card, a cool version of Alex Telge's card, and just have multiple challenges just for one team. But you have multiple teams, multiple leagues that you can work with, right? if I were to search up Militão right now, who I love in Porto, right? If I search up
Right.
Militão, right? This guy right here who recently just got an inform card, right? You see this one, 83 pace, 79 defending, 84 physical. No one's using this card, even though it looks
Right.
pretty meta, because it's
Right.
not usable in FIFA, even though he's fucking 12k and no one is using this card, even though it looks fucking awesome, because
Right.
there's no point in using him.
Right. It's like if it wasn't even for like SBCs, like these high rated cards that no one uses, like your Iniestas, your Gerard PKs, and whatever, they would be dirt cheap too. Because the only reason they're even expensive is because of the demand for like those icon SBCs and those like SBC requirements that you have to plug in like high rated players to complete. If it wasn't for that, those players, because who gives a shit about who gives a shit about Gerard PK, the that even that Champions League edition, because he's never going to be usable in the current modes that exist in FIFA. And going back to those other games you brought an example, I mean every major game you look at, right? And by the way, the skill-based matchmaking, the first Destiny game, Bungie secretly enabled skill-based matchmaking in pubs, and players realized that like almost
I
instantaneously.
remember that. My friend
Yeah,
told me
and
about
they
that. Yep.
yeah, and they got so angry about it, and Bungie later admitted to the fact that they did it, that the game fell apart. It's not the only reason why they ended up scrapping that game and going with a Destiny 2, but it's one of the major reasons. And you look at the pattern over so many of these like popular and successful gaming franchises, like your Call of Duties, right now Fortnite. They have a clear distinction between the competitive game modes and the casual game modes. In Call of Duty, League play hasn't been enabled yet, but in the past, there's always every Call of Duty has had the casual multiplayer public playlists, and then they've had the League play, which is basically multiplayer, public multiplayer matches, but following the competitive rule set, and they're ranked. And in Call of Duty, of course, they also have a competitive community, like where you can play like competitive matches through third-party websites, like
UMG and
GBs,
stuff. Yeah.
UMG, and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a clear distinction between that and the public matches where you can use, your stupid little shotgun to go around annoying people, where you could use a crazy like sniper that you would never use in a competitive match, but you feel good using it because it's awesome to kill people with that specific sniper rifle, let's say, but you can never use it because it's not viable in a competitive mode, which is fine. No one's saying that competitive game modes in video games should be made in such a way that's inclusive on every single item or in FIFA skills player. It's okay that competitive game modes have a meta like list of players or meta list of weapons or meta
Absolutely.
list of items. That's totally acceptable.
Absolutely.
What's not acceptable is that the fact that like FIFA doesn't have a game mode where you could use the non-meta items. There is no viable game mode. Whereas in Call of Duty, you could use the little stupid pistol. Whereas in Fortnite, you could try out different weapons in creative mode, let's say, or whatever mode. Or you could even go to the regular public matches. Like you said, they're a little sweaty now because the skill gap, I mean, the skill level, the average skill level is rising because players are getting more experience under their belt. But even then, it's you still come across your noobs. It's a public. If you lose? It doesn't matter. You don't lose a ranking. You don't lose a rating. You don't lose anything. You gain experience points for playing the actual game, which is fine. If you win, you get more experience points, which is also fine. But then, Fortnite has this thing called the pop-up. I don't know how often you play Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite, but I follow it because it's my job to.
Yeah.
But they have this thing called the pop-up cup, or they have these in-game competitive events. They're not for money, but they're competitive, almost ranked events. And the way the pop-up cup goes, for example, is this: everybody starts on an equal footing. It's like a 2-hour event. It starts at a specific time, ends at a specific time. So players usually start right when the will start playing it right when it enables, and everyone starts on the same footing, and they play matches. They play battle royale matches, and then depending on how well you do in each match, you gain points. You gain skill points, and then after each match, you load into another match. It takes into account your skill points, and it puts you in matches that with against players that have a similar range of skill points. That's an awesome way to do it. Now, imagine if that was the only way to play Fortnite public matches. Imagine if you're a good player, the first few matches of the day you do fine because you're coming up against everybody, and the average of everybody is average, and you're good, so you're going to destroy them. But then after 3 games, you've racked up so many skill points because of your feeding off these noobs that you're coming up against the players that have been doing the same thing, and then for the rest of the day you're screwed. because you just come up against sweaty people. Every gunfight is sweaty. Every gunfight is a huge build fight. You can never relax. And as a streamer, you're always like with your tongue out, just staring at the screen, not able to read your chat while playing, not able to show them, hey, chat, look at this cool thing that I figured out. No, you're constantly under stress because you're coming up against players that are at the same or greater skill level than you. Now, that's the way FIFA is. There's that, and it seems like weird to think, well, yeah, that sounds stupid for Fortnite. Well, yeah, that sounds stupid for Call of Duty. It would suck that every match you went into Call of Duty, you were facing players that are just as good or better than you, because that would just be sweaty. You'd go negative every game, or close to every game, because you
Dude,
would
in
just get
Call of
shit on.
Duty, you leave. People don't
Yeah,
stay in the lobby. They leave the lobby because they don't
yeah,
want to play against people that are
yeah,
like high tier caliber
exactly.
players.
Yeah, and then and then you think, wow, it would be stupid if that was like that in Call of Duty. Or it would be stupid if it was like that in Fortnite. Man, I want to play I want to kill. I want to destroy those noobs. I want to pub stomp with my friends. Well, if it's stupid in Call of Duty or Fortnite, which are two different games, by the way. People say you don't compare shooter. Fortnite's not a shooter. Fortnite's a battle royale. People have done, like Nick Merckx, he's done a no weapons win challenge and succeeded, where he's won a game with a squad without shooting a single gun, any of them. So it's not a shooter, it's a battle royale. So those are two different games, and yet they understand that there's a clear distinction between the competitive, sweaty game modes and casual public game modes. I don't understand how EA Sports, it's not a brand new company. It's a company that is one of the best, if not one of the top, if not the top game development company in the entire world, in the entire history. I don't know, but they're up there for sure. It just blows my mind how, like, what are they thinking? Like, it just, like you said, it's unacceptable, man. It's just like, you think about it, and that's like, let's assume the gameplay is perfect all the time, right? Let's assume like it's not, but let's just say, in a hypothetical situation, we get a FIFA that has a completely perfect, pristine reaction. The reaction time is instant gameplay. It still would not be fun because no one wants to play sweaty FIFA games all day.
Yeah,
No,
it's true.
and yeah, so
Yeah.
and you put those two problems together, and what does it create? FIFA 19, a game mode where actually playing the game is not fun, and a game where there is no game mode that's fun. So tell me, what part, unless you're one of these people, those big streamers or people who have the financial ability to can afford opening packs for fun, like gambling, like slot machines. People go play slot machines at casinos. That's what FIFA packs are, slot machines. People, so unless you're one of those who can afford to do that for fun, there is no place for you. Or like you said, traders or people who trade for the sake of trading. A lot of those people who have fun trading don't play the game as much. They just trade, and they just try to build as much of a coin total as possible by not spending a single dime on the game and by not playing the game. So that's fine, because that's not really like a gameplay thing. That's not that has nothing to do with gameplay or game modes. That's content. And in terms of non-gameplay, non-game mode related content, FIFA's not a bad game because they have cool SBCs, they have all this stuff, they have those like challenges with the Joseph Martinez and the Santi Cazorla. They have stuff like that that's positive. But again, at the end game of all those things, the objective of all those things comes down to a single point, right? Which is affording good players. But then you have to think, man, if I'm affording good players, what am I affording them for? What am I going to use them for? I'm going to use them in division rivals or FUT champs, which is, we're back to base one. Two game modes that are both not fun to play, and the gameplay sucks. So there's no point in playing FIFA if you just think about it. Like, unless you're a trader or pack opener, there's no point in playing it just for
Exactly.
fun.
As a
Yeah.
regular consumer of the game, it just that's why people didn't like when I made this comment. But I always used to tell people this before, man. I actually think that people are borderline insane to play this game if you think that the gameplay sucks and the gameplay content is good, but you still continue to play it. I get it because it's
Yeah.
a football game and you're addicted to football, but the football concept, as much as I love it, and if I didn't have it in my life, my life would be pointless because I love the sport that much. It just wouldn't. We're not saying, because I know that people are going to say this, we're not saying to remove competitive is cool, totally cool with it. We're cool with competitive having its meta players, right? But there is no balance of having competitive and then having a regular game mode. And the competitive, when you play it, they already have a strong base to work with, right? They have skill rating, and that's how it is in any other game. It works perfectly that way, right? They have a strong base to work with. But if you have a game, right, where you have a regular good game mode, again, like the online tournament mode, that has challenges for you to do different things, and like Alberto said, you cannot do the stuff you can do in other games like you can in FIFA. I'm not going to go into FIFA with a Super League team against people who are only using meta players. Because in Call of Duty regular play, in Fortnite regular play, you are doing that for fun regardless of whether or not you win or lose. But in FIFA, the only semi-casual, and it's the only reason why I say semi-casual is because you have to put money into it to play semi-casual FIFA, is FUT drafts. And in FUT drafts is also not interesting because the pack rewards you get back are never worth it. Because
it blows my mind there's no draft token that you get back. Like, it blows my mind that you do not get a draft token.
Dude, you can win 15 drafts in a row, right? 15 drafts in a row, and if you did not get anything good in the 13 drafts, but you got like a 200k player in the 19th and 20th draft, it was still a waste of time to play. Right? It's a big, huge waste of time because there is not enough of a concept in FIFA where people want to keep cards to play with them and use them in the game. There's not enough cards to unlock. Like, the worst thing that I hate doing, the worst thing is when I have one team that costs a shit ton and then I have to sell the whole team just for me to use a different team. I want to be able to play with certain teams, play with them for a long period of time so I can unlock certain players, so I can make teams around those unlocked players, even if they're not improved drastically. We're talking like +1 upgrades. Like if I score 1,000 goals with a Norwegian league team that it's the starting 11 and the subs bench, and then, you know, unlock a special version of a card just so I can play with that card in another team, in another hybrid. It annoys me so much that FIFA does not have this concept. When I hop onto this game as a content creator, and even if you are a casual player, when you hit Division 3, not even Division 2 and 1, when you hit Division 3, this game is no longer fun to play. It's no longer fun to play because the only modes that you have in this game is a mode you have to pay for with in-game coins or with your FIFA points to play semi-casual FIFA, a competitive game mode where if you lose one game, it really fucks with you mentally, and then the rest of the games you feel like shit. A video game making you feel like shit. Video games are not supposed to make you feel like shit. Video games are supposed to be an escape from life, okay? When you wanna go on and you wanna have fun, you wanna enjoy yourself. Yeah, you could get frustrated if you lose or if you concede a shit goal, but the general experience of the game needs to be fun, okay? If you have Division Rivals as your competitive game mode, right? I'm at the point with this company where even if they want to keep FUT champs in the game, so fucking be it for the weekends because people actually like it, whatever. But they need to add online tournament mode to this, and cool challenges in the game to have fun with this game so that we have multiple options to work with to have fun with this game. Division Rival Rewards needs the biggest fucking revamp I've ever seen in my life because the fact that you get shittier rewards for facing higher tier players, that one is just abusing game mechanics because this is the single-handedly the most abusive game I've ever played in my life. Driven shots were a thing in FIFA 18. No one's denying that, but you had to get past someone's defense to do a driven shot.
Want to talk to you about that,
right? You have to get past someone's defense. This, it's like, let me face my goal and score in the opposite goal. That makes no fucking sense, okay? And that's what everyone is doing in this game. Everyone plays the exact same way with the exact same players, and it's bullshit and it's not fun to do.
The driven, I'll get to the driven in one second, but I wanted to get back to the FUT draft. Like, I would love to hear from the people who came up with the concept of FUT draft why you don't get a draft token for winning, because it's almost like no matter how bad your pack rewards are for winning a draft, you still at least go positive for winning. You get because the 15,000 coins that you put in gets nullified, or the negative of that gets nullified by the fact that you get a draft token back. Why don't you get a draft token for winning the draft? That means that if you get good pack rewards, fine. But if you do shit, at least you can know that even if I did shit and I got shit, I mean, even if I got shitty pack rewards, I at least went positive because I started at a base of 0. I'm not negative 15,000 because the draft token makes up for that 15,000 I spent. I don't understand. But anyway, that aside, draft aside, the whole argument about, well, there's finesse shots in this are OP, but driven shots were annoying in FIFA 18. Yes, but the thing about driven shots is you couldn't do driven shots from 40 yards out facing your own goal. You couldn't do that. It was impossible. Obviously, no one did that. No one tried it because it's an unreasonable thing. It would have been an unreasonable and stupid looking thing to do. The only time you did driven shots is if you found yourself with an attacking player in your opponent's box or on the edge of the box with no defender in front of you, which is the definition of a one-on-one against
And
the keeper.
you would sometimes not even score because of that
Right,
leg save trait. Still,
right,
even still,
right. And yeah, the saves with feet trade. And but the driven shot, you would do it, and it would be a reliable. It would be the most viable and reliable way to score. Was it overpowered in terms of a finishing mechanic? I mean, I don't think you can argue that. I don't think you can argue that it is overpowered. I don't think it was overpowered because if you're in a 1v1 situation with your goalkeeper, then your success rate should be towards 90% of the time. I mean, that's just
from a
how it
good
is because
angle. From a good
yeah,
angle,
well, yeah,
yes,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
When you're in a situation, let me phrase it this way: when you're in a 1v1 situation that we would normally like expect to score, right? When you would normally expect a player to have a good opportunity to score, you should score most of the time. Why? Because you've already done the passing work or the dribbling work necessary to get past the defensive line, which means you've already done what is really the hardest thing in FIFA, right? The hardest thing in FIFA is not putting the ball physically into the back of the net. It's to get past the defenders that are defending it to put the ball in the net. Well, I guess in this FIFA, it's not that hard, but to shoot from 50 yards out with a finesse shot. But I'm saying traditionally in football and soccer, you have to get past the defense that's trying to defend their goal in order to put the ball in the net. Once you get into that 1v1 situation, unless the goalkeeper makes an insane save or you're just not a good finisher, you should be putting the ball into the back of the net most of the time. And so, yes, driven shots were a viable way. I don't think it's overpowered. I think the correct word there is viable. I think the correct word there is a strong way, not overpowered, but a powerful way of finishing. What's not a powerful way is and when you do find yourself in those situations, that's a chance, right? That's what football fans that's what football experts would call quote unquote a chance, right? Like here's a chance to score, and he scores it. But what's not a chance is 40 yards away facing the ball in a finesse one-time shot where the ball comes from the opposite angle. That's not a chance. No one expects someone to score from that angle in a consistent basis. No defender says, "Oh snap, the guy's 40 yards away and facing his own goal and the ball's coming at a weird angle. This is going to be a shooting opportunity." Because it's not. It's never been and it shouldn't be. But it is in this game. For some reason, it's a lot better to score for finesse shots from outside the box, especially with those high-rated players such as Icons and Neymars and Ronaldos than it is to do a simple 1v1 finish with like a Gabriel Jesus or something like that. Because the player, you can even look at your replay and look at the arrow where the pointing into the goal. It's literally pointing in the goal, and then you see the ball float like 3 feet to the wide of where the arrow is pointing. And you look at that and then it's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do then? Like, how am I supposed to score if I'm in that situation? Do I have to dribble back out and do a finesse shot when I'm in a 1v1? I just don't understand that whole concept. Like, it should be easy to score if you're in a 1v1 situation from an acceptable angle, like you said. It should not be easy to score from long shots. I remember in FIFA 15 remember that long shot, not the finesse shot, but the long shot where you
The
would go
outside the foot
across,
shot.
oh yeah, or across your body from like a if you're like if your player's in line with the goalpost, you aim for the opposite goalpost from like outside the box, and it would go
Yes.
top corner. I
Yeah.
would abuse that with like players like De Bruyne and players. I think he was in Wolfsburg in FIFA 19.
Yeah.
He had the team of the season in Wolfsburg, FIFA 15. I would do that. I would do like anybody who had good like shot, like long shots or shot power. You would do that, and I remember you would rage about that. You're like, how is this competitive, or how is this like skill based? All you do is just press a button from like literally 35 yards away, the ball goes in, and there's nothing I could do to stop that. It's literally the same thing, except now it's more reliable to do that than to shoot from your inside your own box. It's very easy, and the whole time finishing thing. I'm sorry, man, but that just seems like an arcadey thing to do. It's very arcade like, and it's very easy to master. All you got to do is just spend a little bit of time practicing it, and then once you master it and you have like level player, a player with appropriate stats, it's almost automatic, man. And I feel like they injected way too many new things into the base core shooting mechanics of this game with the whole keeper movement and the finesse shot and the time finishing. Take out time finishing, take out keeper movements to balance that out, and what do we have? The same regular acceptable shooting mechanics that we've had in FIFA. Nerf finesse shots as well,
Give
and
me,
you
give
have
me,
what
give me FIFA 18 pre-patch finishing, man.
Yeah, man. Like, bro, like FIFA
FIFA
18.
18 pre-patch finishing was the best finishing in any FIFA game I've ever played ever. It was the best.
It just mind blows me. And like, I don't know, man. I just like you look at every other game, and to achieve an acceptable result, oftentimes takes means that you have more. It takes more skill than to achieve the desirable result, or like get a kill or get an elimination in a game or whatever. But in FIFA, it just seems like some things are just out of your control as a defensive player, man. Like you could defend something purposely, and someone could just do a random spin around, flinging their shot from 40 yards away. Neymar curves into the back of the net, and you're like, well, what could I have done to stop that? Literally nothing.
Yeah. Especially the shots that go through your defenders when you're defending in that general area
Bro.
perfectly and it just goes right through them. Like, I get that. Listen, the reason why I emphasize the point of 1v1 finishing needs to be the most overpowered way to score is because of the amount of ways you can score through bullshit in this game, okay? The crosses are completely fucking random and they're more effective than 1v1s.
Hmm.
That's ridiculous, okay? Because a cross is just you will literally have 5 or 6 seconds as a defender not being able to do anything and you still concede. You cannot, and imagine in a game where you're playing for 5 or 6 seconds and it doesn't matter what you do in that situation, you will still concede that cross, right? But in a 1v1, when I'm approaching the goal, get the extra touch and try to go for a finesse shot around him, it's either the player misses drastically or his
Hmm.
goalkeeper saves it. And from a medium distance, especially, not close distance. If it's from a close distance and the goalie saves it, fair play, whatever. But medium distance and you're missing the target, I don't give a fuck if you have a 2-star weak foot, a 3-star weak foot, and this is why I like Pez's finishing. Fakir in that game can finesse a shot with his right foot when he's 1v1 with a goalkeeper. But in this game, if your attackers are not minimum 4-star, their finishing is trash. And that's just stupid because it makes players unusable. I completely understand if you are not 1v1 and you're trying to take a shot outside the fucking box or something and he takes a shit shot with his weak foot. Fair play, but make the players usable. I get inside the box. If I want to fucking finesse a regular shot from a medium distance, from a good angle, I'm not talking about an angle where I'm facing that way and the goalie's over here. No, I'm talking about I take the extra touch on the inside and I want to just finesse it around the goalkeeper. I should be able to fucking do that. If I get into a certain position 1v1 and I shoot it near post, I should fucking be able to shoot it near post in specific areas. But when you make crossing more effective, turnaround time finesse shots more effective, time shooting in general more effective, from outside the box, this game is not fun to play. I played a game a day or two ago when I was streaming, and I ended my stream after one game because I scored 4 finesse shots. The guy scored 3 headers and 1 kickoff, and then just kept crossing the ball against me and won the ball in the air when I can't do anything. There's no skilled concept of crossing where I can just, okay, maybe, because you can't even adjust your defenders. Your defenders are in a locked position. You can't just move them left, right, up, or down. You can't do anything like that. You can't super cancel like you can in PES, right? So
Hmm.
you're just fucked. When a cross comes in, you either get it or you don't. There's people like Mbappe, the guy, if you guys watch my draft gameplay from the Team of the Year De Bruyne video, he literally came from the net forward, bent his neck that way, and scored that opportunity. But I had a 1v1 shot with Christian Eriksen taking the extra angle, and he misses the whole fucking net.
Hmm.
That's unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable for a gameplay balance. Okay, and like I said, like this game in general pisses me off because as a video game, it fucking blows, man. I don't care what SBCs they add. If they add an SBC, Cazorla, Martinez, you can debate if he's usable in division rivals. But who the fuck is gonna use Cazorla and David Silva in the top 3 divisions in this game? If you do that, you're fucking out of your mind. You're gonna lose. If you don't lose, it's because your opponent wasn't that good, because they will fuck you if you are using David Silva as a cam. Would I
Right.
love to use David Silva as a cam in general from earning him through the game? Not me spending my coins to go and earn him. There's certain cards, certain SBCs you release, 100% understandable that they're SBCs. If you release a special version of fucking Griezmann, Matuidi, Nanglin, hey man, I don't have to earn those cards. But someone like Santi Cazorla, fucking Martinez, David Silva, why are we doing SBCs for those cards that are not usable the way FUT is set up right now? It makes no sense.
Yeah, bro. It just I think another huge part of this game, a problem with FIFA that gets sort of swept under the rug because there's bigger problems, is that this there's so many things that happen during the course of a match that just are simply out of your control. Like when you don't press tackle in the box and your defender still commits a penalty, that's I think just like a blasphemous thing. Like how is that fair? Like if I have a I use Sergio Ramos. That's the player I would use in my team. I haven't played in a few weeks, but my meta team has Sergio Ramos, and he's one of the best center backs in the game, and rightfully so. Is very expensive, but there have been times when I'm just trying to contain, when I'm just trying to jockey, and he puts his leg out and kicks the player. He falls to the forward penalty when I have done no button combination that should do that, or deflected goals, or the ball bouncing around randomly, or when I tackle it, it bounces back to him in a more favorable position. I mean, all those things, it just like blows my mind. And you look at any other like game that we play for fun, and 90% of things that happen in FIFA don't happen in those other games. Like when you point in a direction to make a pass and your player passes it in a completely different to a complete different player. That's the equivalent of in Call of Duty, you pointing the gun at your opponent or at a player to shoot, and your gun just shoots 3 feet to the left for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, would that be acceptable? Like, people would be like, "Whoa, what's this glitch? There's like a new glitch in COD. It's causing you to shoot 3 feet to the left, even though you're pointing your analog stick directly in that direction." And in FIFA, just like how in COD, there's quote unquote aim assist, right? In a certain way, when you make a pass towards a player, unless you turn it off, when you make a pass towards a player, the game recognizes that you pointing your analog stick in that direction means you're trying to pass the player in that area of vicinity. It doesn't exactly pass the ball in that exact trajectory, passes it to the player that you're pointing to with your analog stick, which is the way it should be. But what's not acceptable is is the replay system showing my arrow in a 1v1 situation, like you said, like in a situation where you should be scoring 90% of the time, your arrow pointing to the part of the net where you're aiming to. Fine, that's all good. The keeper's not going to save it. Your ball's going to go in the net, and the ball just shows like slanting across the face of the arrow 3 feet to the right. No other game is that acceptable. And no other game would that be acceptable. I just don't understand how in FIFA there's so many things that you do correctly, that you do the right button combination, the right dribbling, the right passing, and then things are just left out of your control. Like in COD, when you shoot bullets at a player, half of them don't match unless there's like some serious connection issue or there's some kind of problem. Half of the bullets don't magically not register on the player. Like you don't shoot 10 bullets at a player and 5 of them don't register, or 5 of them go over his shoulder, or something like that. I mean, you could miss, but when you're not missing and then you're still missing, which is what happens in FIFA in 1v1 situations, this doesn't happen in other games, and it just blows my mind how like EA, and it just goes back to the whole cash cow thing, man. EA spends so much more time coming up with ways and in-game content that requires players to spend money. And people say, well, you don't have to spend money. You do Road to Glory. That's free, right? That's forgetting a big idea of like your time that you spend is just as valuable as the money that you put into it. Time is valuable. I mean, time is valuable just as money is valuable. Like when you're spending time on a Road to Glory to get into these players, that's just the same thing as spending money. It is when it comes down to it. And so like nothing in this game is quote unquote free. Now if there was a way to get, like you said, players by playing the game and then being able, it's very important that you add the second part to that though, and to be able to use those players in game modes that do not require you to be sweaty and like meta all the time. That would be fine, because then you're willingly spending your time and getting rewarded for it by getting a player that you could use in a reward structure that is not based on a competitive mode. But again, what's the point of, even if they had a even if they had a David Silva where you could earn, right? Or a Santi Cazorla that you did earn by playing the games. What's the point of getting him if you're never going to use him? So it's just goes back to the whole thing of all these problems in FIFA are interconnected, and two wrongs don't make a right, and it's certainly true in this case. All these problems just add up and create what we have, which is a very competitive meta-based game that has very poor mechanics and core issues in terms of servers and connections. That is not to, that is not fun to play in any way or in any for anybody, except you're a very rich, high level streamer that can open packs all day, or you just trade for the sake of trading. Otherwise, there's no end game to this game. There is no end game. Also, you can't like there, you can't reach master prestige You can't like you can in Call of Duty.
There's
You
no like
can't reach.
leveling system or anything.
Yeah,
Like even if
yeah,
you hit
exactly.
Division 1, you don't feel accomplished because it's just like, cool, I'm
Well,
here
you
now.
just
I'm just gonna do
yeah,
it for no fucking reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's after that? What's the only I guess end game quote unquote would be to become so good that you become a pro player and earn money. But that's a 0.001% of the entire player base of FIFA, even less. So it's like there's no actual end game for casual players, man. It's just because it's a cyclical process. Play the game, not have fun, get rewards, get players, sell them, get the coins, buy a player you want, play the game, not have fun, get packs, get players, on and on and on and on. What's the point, man?
The cycle continues that way. Yeah.
Bro, in COD, like you said in COD, I love how you bring this example. Camos, um, weapon camos, like a specialist camos, outfits, what new weapons, this that there's so many things you can unlock, there's so many things. Doesn't even have to be stuff that gives you competitive advantage. It could be just cosmetic. Doesn't even have to be players, man. It could be cosmetic things. It could be slight upgrades to players that everybody has access to. There's one thing that this game sorely lacks that other games don't is equal chance to opportunity, man. The equal access to opportunity in this game, that is, it's so unbalanced in terms of that. Whereas in COD, everybody starts from level 1, unless you look at some of those other CODs like Advanced Warfare, where you could spend money in open supply drops and get overpowered
And
weapons.
people freaked out because of that.
Yeah,
People that
right.
that was
But
a
you but
huge fit back then.
Right, exactly. But since then, and every COD in general, man, the way it's been is everybody starts off with the same weapons, same classes, same access to everything. No one can get an access to a better weapon just by spending money, and you just grind the game, get the weapon camos, get the cool weapon variants, get the cool specialist outfits, get the cool little attachments for your guns, those little cosmetic attachments. Or in Fortnite, the whole battle pass, or you know, even you could just play the game, get V-Bucks, and spend them in the item shop for a cool skin. All these things by playing the game, not spending money, not trading, not doing all this complex activity just to get the same level as players who spend money on the game. People who spend money on Call of Duty, they only get cosmetic items, the items that offer no competitive advantage. In FIFA, everything you spend your money for is to gain a competitive advantage. It just blows my mind how you look at the microtransaction system of this game compared to every single other game that exists, where you look at games like H1Z1 that had these crates, the crates that you would open. It would literally tell you what you can get in the crate. It would list it on the side. What are the items you can get in the crate? And it would list a percentage chance of you getting them. Now they do that this year in FIFA, but again, that just it gives you a rating spectrum. It doesn't give you the specific players that you can get in that pack. So, when you open that pack, you have a realistic expectation that, okay, even if I don't get that top thing, even if I don't get those valuable items, at least I know maybe there's a cool lower level item in there that I kind of want. In FIFA, you pay money to get a chance at getting something. Like, how in the world does that make sense? That's literally gambling, right? If you look at a casino, what do you do at a casino? Slot machines. You pay money to get a chance at winning more money, right? You don't pay money to win more money, right? If that was the case, everybody would just go pay money to win more money. No, they pay money to get a chance to spin the slot machine to get more money. That's the same thing in FIFA. You pay money, and here's the critical difference. In casinos, you pay money, and if you win, you get more money you could spend in real life. In FIFA, you pay actual money to get a chance at what? Unlocking a player that you could sell for coins. And what are the coins useful for? Buying another player. To do what? Play a shitty game. Like, what is the point of all
The
that,
end
man?
game is like makes no sense.
There's
It's
Yeah, it's
dude,
cyclical.
it's like I said, man. Like I always tell people, this game, and a lot of people even on Twitter agree with this. This game has become a foot card simulator. Like
Yeah,
even for Foot Champs weekends, the only people I actually see playing the gameplay is the competitive and pro players, because
yeah,
everybody else, all the market dudes, are still doing market stuff during the weekends, and it's fine for them because people relate to that. They're like, dude, anything I can do to avoid gameplay at all costs, I will do. I want to do the menu stuff. I want to collect these players, but like, dude, for me that irks the hell out of me, because you play the game to play the game. You might as well just bring this stuff to your mobile and not sell it for $90 if people are not going to give a fuck about the gameplay stuff. And it's not the community's fault that they don't give a fuck about the gameplay stuff. It's EA, the way they've made FUT as a game in general. It's their fault how they made this game, because people are not even interested in watching Division 1 Rivals games. That's how fucked up it's gotten in this game.
Yeah.
People don't even want to watch Division 1 Rivals games. People prefer to watch you play online seasons back in the day using different teams, because you were using different teams. It was interesting, right? And again, back then I used to complain. I'm not going to say I didn't complain, but I complained because there was nothing interesting. It was cool to use different cards. It was cool to try out all these different players, but there was no cool concept to look forward to. You only got 15K. There was no special boards you would get, like a cool red board for playing 100 games with a player or scoring 100 goals with a player or any of those types of things. Your goalies never changed because they never got clean sheet stats. The stat tracking this game is dog shit. There's no leaderboards. In FIFA 15, the biggest reason why I grinded that shit in the game, that's where my stream blew up.
Leaderboards, yeah.
It's because of the fucking leaderboards, man.
Yeah.
I got number 1 in match coins, wins, season points, and something else. I can't remember what it was. And that was my only thing that I looked forward to doing, right? Because there was nothing else in the game. There was no interesting thing in the game for me to want to play towards. But would it not be cool if they released, like, dude, the best things that ever happened in FIFA, and no matter what anybody tells you, these were single-handedly the best things that ever happened, is when they made those fucking tournaments for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Marco Reus, and Konoplyanka, because you actually had to go. Yes, it was sweaty, and again, it could be done better.
That's okay.
It could be done better in terms of unlocking cards, absolutely, right? But it was still fun to do, and people were looking forward to watching people actually unlock and play the fucking game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, nowadays, no one cares to watch your FUT Champs gameplay. But you know what people do care about? They want to see your rewards. They want to see the rewards you got. And I mentioned this to streamers before. I will never cater to people that are only there to see the packs. In the beginning, sure thing, I will be like, okay, guys, 15 minutes, we're going to wait in the lobby. We're going to wait for people to get here. But when that pack opening starts, I'm fucking opening those packs. Ain't nobody going to wait to open the packs. I'm fucking opening everything, bro. Because I'm not going to cater to people that they don't want to see the struggle. They don't want to see the gameplay part. They only want to see the packs and then dip. That's not how the game should be. The game should be cool at all times, no matter what. Gameplay, menu stuff, no matter what, people are down to watch because there is an end game to it. If I play with a Super League team and I'm using fucking Quaresma and a Super League, a half Super League, half Liga NOS team, where I have Quaresma in the team with Ricardo Pereira, or a Portuguese team with Ricardo Pereira and all these guys, and the game is telling me, okay, if you use these players or if you score with these players, you get this, and your viewers have something to look forward to. You as a player have something to look forward to. Right. That's what makes the game fun, right? You're playing Division Rivals and FUT Champs for what now? What are you playing for? To get better players. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, they could have just, you know how they have daily and weekly challenges or, objectives? Yes. They could have done like a career objective, like a full year objective. Use a squad with 17 Brazilian players to get a Brazilian icon pack. And you have to win, like, let's say, what would be like an appropriate number?
1,000 games.
1,000 wins. You have to get use them for 1,000 games. Let's say, not even. Let's say wins, because people would just use them for games and like fuck around. But like, let's say like 500 wins, 700 wins, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Use a squad. So you would have a designated Brazilian squad that would have a starting 11 of Brazilians, and you would have a bench full of Brazilians, and you would use that squad for as many games as it took for you to get that many wins. We're using that squad, and there would be trackers, and that's just one example. And let's say once you get that, the game gives you a pack, a Brazilian icon pack, where there's a guaranteed Brazilian icon in there. Now, you don't know if it's going to be a prime icon or they could make it a prime just to make it more worth it, but you don't know if it's going to be Ronaldinho.
Dude, I would be totally okay with it if it was fucking random. Socrates, I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Socrates, whatever. But what if it's what if it's the lowest level of Roberto Carlos? Does that make the 750 games worth it? Not really. But what if it's a prime Ronaldo or a prime Ronaldinho? Does it make that? That absolutely makes it worth it. Untradeable, of course. And dude, you know how much more fun the game would be played to like grind, like you said, a Portuguese team, man. a Portuguese team, you get a Portuguese, you get a Prime Eusebio if you win 700 games with the Portuguese squad, or it doesn't have, and they could that would perfectly complement weekly, daily objectives, maybe even add a monthly objective and a career objective. And then you could have so many things circulating around daily, weekly, monthly. Dude, the daily objectives are stupid, bro. The weekly objectives, some of them are okay, but most of them are dumb. Who cares about like you said, a Santi Cazorla that you're never going to use, and even if you use it, it's never going to be fun playing with him in against competitive teams. It's like some of them are just useless. I feel like they're doing those just for the sake of doing them, so people will say, "Well, you should have objectives." Well, here they are. Yeah, well, they suck.
It's like
Let's have
they're
some.
doing it for the sake
Yeah,
of having. And for me, the way that it looks like, right, and I explain this to people all the time. It looks like it's just for the sake of having people shut up about like, oh,
right.
but we are releasing cards. Yes,
Yeah,
you are, but they're cards that no one is gonna look forward to using. Like Santi
right.
Cazorla. Dude, you know what? I'm a big fan of Santi Cazorla in real life. I love the guy. I think he's a
Yeah,
fantastic player. And when I watch football in my fucking living room and I want to come on the game and I want to use Santi Cazorla, he should be a usable card. Hey, if I go into online tournament mode and the guy is using a full icon team and I'm using Santi Cazorla, whatever. I'm doing it for a reason to have fun, and if he wants to use a fucking icon team and he doesn't want to do the challenges and whatever, so be it. There's still going to be sweaty people in the game, absolutely, 100%. But if you have a reason to use those cards, it will be fun to play with. If you use Santi Cazorla, who now plays for Villarreal, use a full Villarreal team. You can get a special version of a Villarreal player that's usable as a meta card in the Liga Santander, as a striker, center mid, the center back, left back, right back. Doesn't matter. It would be fun. There would be a purpose to actually wanting to use a card like that, right?
hmm
I stress this all the time, but that's what this game needs, man. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says, man. And this is something that I've preached and I've preached religiously, man, is that this game can be the best game in the gaming market
right.
in general. Okay, sure. Fortnite and League of Legends, those games, they will always dominate. Those games are just on their own fucking level, okay? We're never going to get to that level. But we can definitely get there
Yeah.
as a good video game because, dude, I used to have friends back in the day that literally didn't give a shit about soccer, didn't give a shit about football, but they loved playing FIFA because it was fun.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it was a
of course,
fun
bro.
video game. Okay? The only people who are playing this game right now, the only people are the hardcores. And even if
Mhm.
you're a casual hardcore. Because for you to be spending money on the game, that makes you a hardcore. Okay? Because you want to get certain players to use them in the game, so on and so forth. Okay? This game needs a huge overhaul as a video game because as a regular person, when you get home, especially if you love football, this game should be your holy grail. You should want to play this game more than actually watching people play in real life.
Yeah, of
That's how
course.
good this game should be. That's how addicting and borderline good it should be. Okay? This is why I make these videos. This is why I make these podcasts. This is why I get passionate because people have no idea how good I want this game to be, man. Because it's not even about FIFA. It's because I know PES will never get to this level. But FIFA and EA as a company are capable enough to do it, and they don't. And that's why it pisses me off,
Right.
man.
Well, there's no incentivization for it. Goes back to my earlier point, man. It's like they have such a monopoly. There's no point. They could sit back and say, "Oh man, like all our players are complaining about it. Who cares? We're still making all this money." Like, there's no point for them to do it. And from a business aspect, why should they do it? Doesn't make a point. Why should they go out of their way to appease the player base when they give them the money anyway? I understand. Like, I actually like. I have an open mind, and I understand their perspective from their perspective. I understand that they're in a position where regardless of what they do, as long as they put out a product that, has all this flashy stuff in it, those SBCs, these cards, the things, they will earn the money necessary for them to succeed and strive as and have success. And there's no point for them to go above and beyond. They're earning a C right now in school. EA is earning a C in our school, but C is good enough for them to do whatever they want. So that there's no reason for them to go earn a B and an A from us. A C is fine. And so that's what they're, That's what their goal is, to make money. Their goal is not to make the players happy. Their goal is to make money. I always go back to this. Years ago, there was a discovery in one of the patents in the U.S. Patents Office that Call of Duty Activision had patented a gaming code that it's never been officially confirmed whether they actually put it in the games or not. And Activision said this was something we patented but never used, but we don't know that. It was a code that basically did this. If I'm a player playing Call of Duty and I come up against players who have a weapon, this is back when they used to do weapons and supply drops, or they have a weapon or a weapon camo that I don't have, and the only way to get that is through a supply drop. There's more likelihood of me getting matched up against those players. So if I get killed in the kill cam, I'll see, oh, this guy has the weapon X. Man, I really want that weapon X. Look how good it is, and I'll subconsciously want to earn that. So that could build up over time and cause me to spend money on supply drops. Same with FIFA. That's why there's no road to getting any kind of these extreme high level players, other than like even the SBCs are extremely expensive. They're like 75 to 60% of the cost of the actual icon, which is this. I come up like I'm looking at your screen now and I see the team that you're using. Let's say someone has that team and they continuously come up against Cristiano Ronaldo, or they come up against Virgil van Dijk team of the year, or they come up against this, or they come up against that. They're going to subconsciously say, man, I really want to get that player. He's so good against me. He's dominating me. He's scoring every goal. He's defending every header. He's a beast. I want him. The only way to get him is to open packs. And the only way to open packs is either grind the game and spend time, or spend money, which is basically an equivalent, and earn it. So it goes back to this thing of like, what are they doing that we don't know about? What are you, who doesn't have any icons or team of the year players, getting matched up more against people who have icons or team of the year players, so that you could get convinced to spend money? You won't, but someone else might. And there's physical proof that Activision you had this coding, had a game coding for that kind of system. They would literally had a code that would match up against players who had weapons and weapon camos and stuff that they wouldn't have. And so psychologically, they would be encouraged to spend money on a game to get those weapons so that they could finally have it. And it goes back to the whole monopoly thing and the whole like EA's end game here. EA's end game here is to make money. And the way I see it is this: imagine there's a desert and there's only one hotel. That hotel is EA Sports. There's no other hotel, there's no other house, there's no place to live. You either have a choice. You have to go to that hotel that has rusty sinks, bed bugs, that has shitty food, that has bad air, that doesn't have air conditioning, that has like all this stuff that's really bad. Or you could sleep outside. As a soccer fan, as a fan of football, and as a fan of football games, you have either the choice of not playing anything or playing FIFA. Because and I'm talking about not in an individual basis, because some people might go to PES. I'm talking about as like a general player base. The general player base is not going to transition over to PES. There is no competition. This is why I'm saying EA's hotel is the only hotel in the desert. Naturally, whether or not at some point you're going to get that hunger to play and you're going to go back to FIFA, even if you say, you know what, I'm not going to that hotel. It has shitty sinks, it has shitty food, no air conditioning, bed bugs. I'm going to sleep outside. That's better for me. At the end, you're going to get cold. At the end, you're going to get hungry. You're going to want to play the game, so you're going to go back into the hotel. And I feel like and that's just how monopolies work. I feel like that monopoly, when you have a monopoly, and that's why there's antitrust laws in the U.S. government. I know you live in Canada. I live in the United States. That there's antitrust laws in the United States government that prevent major corporations from absorbing other corporations in their way to monopolize an industry, because that way they set the market price for something and there's no competition. That's why competition is important. FIFA has no EA Sports has no competition when it comes to FIFA. Same way they don't have competition when it comes to Madden. Same way 2K doesn't have a competition when it comes to the NBA games. And that means that they could put out a shitty product because they know people will still buy it, and there's no incentive. There's nothing forcing them or compelling them to improve their product as long as the money is coming in. The only thing that would affect them is the financial product. As soon as the financial hits, as soon as they take a financial hit, they'll wake up instantly. But they will never take a financial hit because there's nothing that will financially hit FIFA. It's a global brand, bro. It's a global fucking sport. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but it's a
No, you could.
global.
I've been swearing.
Yeah,
Don't worry
it's a
about
it's a
that.
it's a global sport, bro. You know this game has so much potential. Like you said, it's literally a global sport. It should have the biggest global market, not Call of Duty. I mean, League of Legends, sure, because that's also global, and Overwatch in a certain way, and Fortnite is on the come up. But like you said,
No,
those will always
oh,
have their place.
FIFA 100% needs to be bigger than Overwatch. That's I think
Yeah,
that's a factual fact, man.
it's a global
It's a global
it's a,
sport, yeah.
it's a global sport, and it's a monopolized game on a global sport, and it has such potential to be such a quality game. The competitive events should be rocking, bro. People should have hundreds of thousands of viewers. The fact that Call of Duty COD champs could have more viewers, and the only way that people will point to the viewer base now. The only reason why FIFA has any viewers now is because they offer rewards for people who watch the streams of those competitive events. No one else is going to watch them for any reason other than that. Do you have any interest in watching a tournament,
No,
a competitive tournament?
I never watched a
Yeah,
single
I
one.
never watched
I
it either.
watched the ones to analyze the games, but I
Yeah,
never know what actually happens
for
in
you,
those games.
yeah, and you never do it for your enjoyment. You never watch it for your enjoyment. I'm one of those people that you mentioned. I never watch those YouTuber videos that go over their weekend league. I never watched a single one that says I went 28-2. Here's the video highlights of my weekend league. I never watched those, never will. Doesn't interest me. I don't care about them playing the game, watching them playing the game. I like watching the rewards. Now, I fall into that category of people you were describing, but it's not my fault. The game's just not fun to play. It's not fun to watch.
It's not
It's
interesting.
fun.
There's no end game for you as the viewer to watch
Yeah,
someone go and play the game because there's nothing for you to look forward to. Back in the day when draft was first introduced, yeah, draft was popping because you were like, holy crap, we've never had this system before of like,
right.
if this guy wins, he has packs. But like when people continuously see that even when you win the draft, you get nothing. You don't even get a board which is 83 rated. You don't even get a board from winning the draft. As a viewer and as a regular player, that doesn't make you want to play the game or see the game more because there's nothing to look forward to. If there was something that the streamer was doing or that you were doing where you would look, again, and this is the thing I preached even back in FIFA 15, if there was something to look forward to other than just 15K, getting different colors of boards for your players, even if you don't improve them, it's just me showing you that, hey, I have 100 goals of this card, or so on and
Yeah,
so forth,
exactly, man.
or
Yeah.
getting or unlocking shoes for specific players. Every shoe would be locked for one player. He would only, obviously each player would be locked to their sponsor, Adidas, Nike, whatever the fuck they are, right? But make that interesting. Getting long sleeves for them, short sleeves, tucked shirts or untucked shirts, fucking long socks, not long socks, short socks, or or don't do headbands and stuff because then that would just be
Bro, it's
fucking
infinite.
ridiculous. But
It's infinite.
there's so
Yeah,
much you can do, and there's thousands of players
yeah,
that you can do that with, right?
yeah.
Even unlocking a league-based card off of playing with a league-based team, starting 11 in subs.
Right.
None of this like icons and shit. Like obviously, if you get, we're not going to say not to do it for Ronaldo's and Neymar's because we know you want to make money. If you really want people to spend the money on the game, then you can make the really high tier rewards only based off of the fucking meta players that people use, like Ronaldo's and Neymar's and Icon Laurent Blanc. And if you play with that team and get 1,000 wins, that boom, you can get a sick card too from that, or 500 wins from that. You get a sick card too for that, and make a concept where if people are using a really good team, yes, they still have a chance of, because we know you want to make your money. That's fine, but you have to make the general experience of the game fun from everybody's point of view, dude. I've played over 400 matches, right? Usually, that's not even what people play in a year, right? But if I have over 1,000 matches and I don't have one icon in my team, which a lot of people don't, from winning 1,000 games and having 250 losses, not even one icon in their team from progressing really well in FUT champs because of the way their team is set up with like Neymar, Pogba, Conte and stuff, not even one good icon in like Ruud Gullit. That's one player out of the Eusebius, the Peles, the Ronaldos, the Socrates, all those different players, right? That's after playing 1,000 or so games. You don't even have one of those cards. And that's,
Mhm.
people don't play more than 400 in a year. Hey, if you don't play more than 400 in a year, you 100% do not deserve one of those cards. But if you're
Mhm.
over 1,000 games, when you have a 4.0 win-loss ratio in this game, in its current situation, the way that the game is rotated around, how do you not have fucking Ruud Gullit already in your team? That's just stupid. You
I mean,
spent
90%
all
of
this
the
time and you don't have that card?
right. That's because 90% of the rewards you receive of any of the games you play are all pack based, and that just goes back to the square one of the whole RNG and luck thing. Like, it's all randomness. Like, someone could get lucky in one pack they open and get a team of the year Ronaldo, and they could build a dream team, and you could play the game for 1,000 games, play weekend league every week, get shitty packs. People always forget, like, one pack has nothing to do with the next pack. I could open one pack right now, and it'll be the only pack I open the entire year and get team of the year Ronaldo, and I could get a better team than you have after playing 500 games, 400 games, and you've opened packs. Let's say not you, but like hypothetically open packs all year because you've been playing weekend league and getting all the rewards. You've been playing division rivals. You've been playing all the rewards. All your packs suck. I get one pack and it's good, and that's just not fair, man. It's just a broken system. And tell me this, bro. Like, what exactly is the difference when it comes down to it between FUT champs and division rivals?
Honestly,
Like, what's the difference?
well, the two big things is, one, most important, how your gameplay feels. That's a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two, the players, bro. Because if I come up against someone, even when my gameplay is good, and even if we're not using the time finesse shots or anything, because if we're talking about previous years of FIFA,
mm-hmm.
people in my stream know this, bro. Whenever I get my hands on the Neymars, on the Ronaldos, the first time I got Patrick Vieira, my defending was flawless. No one could pass me because I was actually using... there was one year, I don't remember which year it was. It might have been like FIFA 16 or 17 where I had like a Patrick Vieira on my team. And I had only 2 or 3 other meta cards. We're talking about like I had the essential, right? The essential Ronaldo, Patrick Vieira, and then maybe like a really good center back. Those are the 3 essentials in previous years of FIFAs, right? I only had 3 of those cards. Imagine having a full starting 11 of gods. I only had 3 gods. Imagine a full starting 11 of gods. And that's how FIFA is right now. I'm not saying, hey, we got to get this out of here. I'm not saying that if you get a better team, you will become a better player. I'm not saying that, because you still got to understand the games. Here is an outs, but you can cross the ball, whatever, with your icon and still score. Just letting people know about that. But a full God squad will drastically help you in this game. Because if I were to name you my starting 11 right now, do you want me to name you the things that make this whole entire team shit, except for Kyle Walker and David De Gea? You guys watch my videos. I don't even need to explain to you. If you guys have watched my stuff, I don't need to tell you why this team is not good enough against people who are in the higher divisions with all these icons and legends. The difference is immense. Even if you lose 4-0 to those teams, it's not skilled. You can't have that game mode and then not have a casual game where I can use this team against people who have a similar team to really show them what the fuck is up. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, man, it makes a huge difference. It's not gonna help everybody, but it makes a huge difference. And that's the 2 big differences in this game when it comes to competitive, right? And the biggest thing that annoys me, and I'm not even a competitive player, okay? I'm not a competitive player. But the biggest thing that annoys me, right, as a person who plays this game and am seeing it as a viewer point of view, because I'm friends with a lot of the competitive guys. Do you guys understand how bullshit it is that there's a lot of competitive players that compete for top 100 that get to use these players at home every single day, get used to their work rates, their tactics, their characteristics, and then people who are using mediocre shit teams have to go to the tournament and have to use better players and not know if they're going to be good enough for them because they're not used to them. It's bullshit. This is why, this is something I have to say, and I have to say right now, bro.
Go for it.
People shit on Tex, but let me tell you guys something about Tex, okay? Tex in FIFA 18 used a mediocre team to qualify for top 100, or not for top 100, but to qualify for one of these esports events. And his team was significantly, massively different from the team that he was using at the competition. And he was rotating his team all the time, trying to find the right balance. And he still won the competition, bro. He still won it against people who use the players all the time. Don't get me wrong, gameplay's different. At the competitions, even the comp players say the gameplay's different there than what they experience at home. But that by itself is fucking stupid, okay? But the whole game makes no sense from a video game point of view and as a competitive game point of view. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's
a cash cow. That's it. That's the only explanation you can give. It's a cash cow.
It's because the whole the where this whole thing falls apart is this, man. FIFA was up until a couple of years ago, FIFA was not a super competitive game. It did not have super competitive game modes, and it was not an esport. And it gained, and I'm talking about, when was the first FIFA like ever created, like 20 25 years ago, whatever. All those years through the 2000s, 2010, 2011, 2012, up to FIFA 16 was the last year there was no competitive game mode. All through all that history of FIFA, it gained its notoriety, it gained its prominence, it gained its success, it gained where it is today, thanks to those years. These last 3 years,
Especially 12 and 13, man. Those
yeah.
games really fucking blew up the
And then
scene, man.
the introduction of the concept of Ultimate Team, that blew people's mind. I was like, oh my god, bro, the potential of this game mode is outrageous. It's insane. Look at this mode, bro. I could use these players
Oh my
together.
god, I could use Quaresma
Yeah,
and Ronaldo even though they're from
yeah.
different teams and different leagues in the same team because
It's
they get a
insane,
Portuguese link.
man.
Holy fuck. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
hybrids, this trying out crazy players together, man. My two favorite center backs from two different teams playing together with this goalkeeper, insane. And then they try, and through all those years, the whole pack system, the whole everything remained consistent. You open packs, get the players, and that's fine. But then when they try to transition FIFA to a where competitive takes priority, and to an esport, and to this ultra competitive game, but they're trying to keep that same microtransaction system as the underlying foundation of how the game makes its money and how the game is success, that's where it falls apart, because you can't have both in assistance with each other, especially because the gameplay sucks and there's no casual game modes. So now we're basically trapped uh, in this game where we can't have fun playing it in any way. Like there's nothing we could do to fun playing it, because there's the two things you need to make this game fun. Both of them are not there. And when I asked you what's the difference between Division Rivals and Ultimate Team, I mean Weekend League, I meant to say in the premise of its competitiveness is what I was trying to say. They're both very similar in how competitive they are, in terms of not the opposition that you're facing, not the gameplay, but in terms of you trying to win, right? That's the objective of both, right? Can we agree on that? The
Yeah.
objective of both division rivals. I mean, why do you play division rivals? To draw games? No. To lose? No. You play to win the game. You play foot champs to win the game. Why do you play to win the game? To get the points, so you could get the rewards, to get the players. But what if so why do they have two game modes where the sole objective is to win games? Why is that a thing? Why couldn't they make the foot rivals be foot rivals, the weekend league, and then, I mean, foot rivals, I'm saying the weekend league be weekend league, and then have the division rivals be like what you and I are saying, man, something that's not based on meta players, not based on competitive, something that encourages diversity in the players that are used in it, something that encourages you to try out different players, something that
The thing
encourages
that I
you to.
always say though is that with division rivals, dude, people don't get it, man. Like at this point, I'm cool with foot champs and division rivals being game modes because here's the thing, right? With division rivals, there is a good balance in the game mode if you have a regular. You can't just say division rivals to be the diversity mode. No, because the cool thing to have, right, is to be able to switch. Okay, you know what? I'm playing some casual FIFA. I want to use whatever players I want. But you know
Yeah, that's a
what?
good point.
I wanna be like Tifu and Cloxy. Now I want to play some competitive FIFA. I want to use my meta players, right? And then you hop in division rivals to play your competitive FIFA, build up your rank points every day like you would have to. Yes, of course, division rivals would still give you the best rewards in the game in terms of you playing it every single day in comparison to online tournament. But the online tournament still needs to be a cool concept, right? You can even make division rivals rewards that you only get through playing division rivals, right? You can even do that too if
Right,
you really want to, right? But
right.
you need to have a balance of me wanting to play regular FIFA, have fun with cards, and then be like, you know what? Today is the day I want to play some competitive FIFA and I want to play competitive players and get my
Hmm.
competitive points to get these specific rewards from division
Hmm.
rivals that you cannot achieve through playing online tournament mode.
Like the foot champs points, like that's a good point, because you could have the two modes, right? Like you could have the casual mode and then division rivals, and if you want to play in that weekend league, you got to play at least, some, if you haven't gotten the points from the weekend league prior, you have to play some rivals to get the points to qualify for the next weekend league. So there is some incentive in some ways to play rivals, but you need to have something that balances that out with something that's very casual and something that inspires diversity in player base, something where you could do to complete challenges. This is why no one this is why in Call of Duty, for example, again, to bring that up, this is why no one goes into the ranked playlist modes, league play, to complete challenges. No one goes into those ranked modes to complete their knife challenge for dark matter. No one goes into those ranked modes to complete the 10 long shots with their assault rifle. They go in there to win, right?
Yeah, because the sole purpose of it
Which
is
is a
to win
mode,
and be
yeah, which is
competitive, and it makes sense.
right,
Yes.
right. That's what it's supposed to be. Competitive mode is supposed to be win, to be competitive. No one is competitive to lose. Okay, no one's competing to lose. Everyone's competing for victory. But then you have the casual one where you could just complete those challenges, where you could have fun with your friends, right? Like, I'm not saying like friends in in an ultimate team, but just for the sake of argument, where you could have something where you could interact with your chat while playing, right? Where you could sort of uh do like demonstrations or stuff in the game, try out some mechanic where the incentive to win is not that high, but the penalty of losing is not that high either. Where you have like this sort of you know and that's the difference between competitive casual, right? Competitive, the incentive to win is really high, but the penalty of losing is also high. But in casual, the both would be mitigated, which would make it casual. That would be
Yeah,
what
because
makes it casual.
if you lose in competitive in Call of Duty, it's like fuck, man. I feel like shit right now. I'm gonna go play some casual and destroy
Right,
some noobs.
right.
That's what
Yeah.
it. That's the balance there, man. That's the balance that's needed. That's why Call of Duty guys recently have been asking like Treyarch to release League Play. But dude, these Call of Duty guys don't know how good they have it, because in Call of Duty, first of all, your pub matches is not just one game mode. You have domination, hardpoint, team
Yeah, man,
deathmatch,
yeah.
capture the flag. You have all those game modes you can play with. And then, yes, it would be cool if you add league play, yeah, because then you would have your competitive game mode. But then not only that, but you also have battle royale and zombies. You
Mhm,
have so
mhm.
much to do in that game. That's why Black Ops 4 nowadays, in terms of the Call of Duty streamers, there's so many guys blowing up. Fucking TP. TP has
Yeah,
never
he's
had that
going
many
insane, yeah.
subscribers in his life, and now he's
Right,
fucking blowing up. Dashy's
right.
blowing up. People from FaZe, EG, smaller Call of Duty pros are blowing up. They're getting like 1,000 subs now because the game is good and people are down to watch whatever the fuck you play. Blackout, pub matches, comp. Obviously, when the comp pops up, people are going to want to watch the comp, right? Just like in
Right,
FIFA. If FUT Champs comes up,
right.
no one's going to want to watch you play Division Rivals in online tournament mode. That makes complete sense. I get it. I'm supposed to play FUT Champs. It's coming out. I got to play it, right? But in this game, it's just competitive. There's nothing that a content creator, that a regular person can play and look forward to when they're playing this game. I don't give a fuck about getting Neymar in my team, because that is one player of me doing the exact same shit in Division Rivals. Yes, there's specific aspects going to be added to my gameplay now. But for what? I'm not going to have fun even if I put
Yeah,
Neymar
there's
in the
no end
team,
game, yeah.
because there's no end game. There's nothing cool about that. There's nothing cool about me wanting to use a fucking icon if it's me doing the same shit over and over again for shit rewards and for a shit game mode. There's
There's
nothing.
not there's nothing to play for either. There's nothing to play for in this game, because it's like I said, it's cyclical. You're playing for packs, reward packs, to get more players to what? Play for more reward packs to get more players to play for more reward packs. And then around, whenever it is that FIFA dies down, it dies down, and then you play the next year. There's nothing to other games add challenges and stuff to make you want to play the game for something. Even Fortnite, once you reach that top battle pass tier, you could always play to get better, because they have those in-game competitive modes where you could play to get, to get certain like pins. I think that's what they're called, pins. When you get a certain amount of skill points in like the pop-up cup I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
you get a pin. You get like this cool pin on your account that says, I played the pop-up cup and I got this many points. To get to that level, you play pub matches. Even after the 100 tier, you play pub matches, and then every tier, right? Every tier you get. I mean, every time you play matches, you get V-Bucks that you can spend on the item shop. This, that, and the other. All these things add up, and then by the time it dies, that here's the important thing. I think that's very important to know about Fortnite. By the time it dies down for that season, the next season starts, right? Like it's about what, 10, 12 weeks.
And they change a bunch of shit too, man.
And they change a bunch of shit. They add things in season, they add stuff. And you know what? They add a cool new weapon, they add a cool new item, they add a cool new skin. You don't have to spend money to get that weapon. You just have to play the game. You don't have to spend money to do the stuff in Fortnite. Everything in Fortnite is voluntary because it doesn't offer a competitive advantage. I'm talking about the items that you buy. In FIFA, that's what they do. The purpose of spending money is to gain a competitive advantage, and I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. Now, again, it's hard
Will it be
to.
a thing and will they ever change it? No. But there are ways of working around that to make EA more money and to make the game better.
Yeah, but
Because
again,
that'll
like,
always be the case, man. This game will
right,
always be, it will always have a pay-to-win concept. That's never going to leave. But you have to work around that to still make the game fun. Because, dude, good gameplay in FIFA for the past 5 installments, it's so annoying. People are like, oh, but people are not going to want to spend more money on the good players because they're not going to make a difference. I don't know about you guys, but when you play in good gameplay with Neymar and Ronaldo, those players are still significantly better than Hazard and Heung-min Son and all that shit. Way better.
right.
Way better. Okay, so making the game in general good is not only important for the hardcore player base, but it's important for this game to progress to another level that has been, this game has been stagnant in levels for years because EA leaves it like that, okay? We can take this game to another level, but I hate every single year EA not showing that same like aggressiveness to do the same thing. It's so annoying because they can, but they choose not to, okay? In regards to gameplay, you guys know me, I went to the studios twice. Didn't like the guy before. You know who the guy was. Never liked him, okay? Thank fuck he's gone now. But the 2 guys now, man, I actually like the 2 guys now. They actually listen to the conversations. They watch the fucking videos, all of it, because they're literally telling me timestamps. Oh, this. We understand this. We understand this. They actually watch now. They actually give a shit. That's the only reason why I have a little bit of hope. But, and I'm going to keep repeating myself, but dudes, this game as a football game needs to be better, man. It needs to be better as a video game, man. I need to look. I want to be addicted, bro. I want this game to be my crack cocaine. I want it to be. I want it to be because I love football so much that when I watch a football game, I need to be shaking because I want to be playing FIFA. That's how good this game should be. People, even kids, man, even kids at school, when they're in their desk, the only thing they're thinking about is I can't wait to get home and play Fortnite. I can't wait to get home and play this game because that's how good the video game should be, especially for a world-renowned sport. We're not talking about basketball. We're not talking about American football. This is the world's sport. Americans who don't give a fuck about soccer will watch the World Cup because America is in it. And they will play FIFA like, oh, you know what? I feel like using some American people in Ultimate Team or some shit. Or I want to use this player in this because this should be fun. Bro, my friends who don't give a shit about soccer, back then they used to play. Nowadays, they don't care about this game anymore. Because they're like, dude, I hop on the game and the first thing I see is, if I hit Division 2, what am I supposed to do from Division 2? Because it's going to take me so long to get better players, and it's not gonna, the general experience from the grind to the beginning to the end is not worth it. It's just not fun.
Right.
It's not fun.
Right. Here, I kind of have to wrap it up because I have to get back to work. But here's the here's I guess the question I also wanted to ask is, can you name me one other established esport that at least a certain component of it requires you to spend money to get better players to qualify for competitive events?
No, there's none.
I just can't really think of
There's
that.
none.
No.
I can't think of that. Call of Duty's not. Call of Duty's not like that. CS:GO's not like that. Fortnite's not like that.
Fortnite not like that.
All the EA games are like that though. Even dude,
because
even Battlefront to a certain point was like that. Because remember, dude, this is what I'm saying. The FIFA community is not the same as the gaming community. Because when EA made Battlefront, and they only made those certain characters available to people who spent money on the game, right? The whole gaming community freaked out. They're like, really? Bro, People were freaking out. They didn't get to. I'm just gonna name a random character. They didn't get to use fucking Han Solo because you actually had to
Mhm.
pay more money to use that Han Solo. Bro,
Right.
we get legends in this game that we never get to use for a full fucking year. But if
Have you ever
that
owned like a
concept,
Pele? I've never owned a
I've never
Pele.
owned a Pele. I've used Pele 2 times in my entire life of his human
Mhm.
existence in this game. Two
Yeah.
times.
Like last year title was the only year I've ever owned a Cristiano Ronaldo. That's only because I grinded the game. I got lucky with some of the packs from the weekend league rewards, SBCs and all that. I was able to get whatever packs I got, and I also spent some money on the game. I'm not gonna shy away from admitting that last year. And I was able to afford Cristiano Ronaldo. I've never used him any on other title. I'm never gonna use him this year, even if I play it. I'm never gonna be able to use Wood Hullet. I've never used him. I did own
Oh my
Patrick
god, Ruud
Vieira.
Gullit. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that
I,
player. Oh,
I've used Patrick Vieira. I used him last year. I did his SBC. Um, I used Lothar Matthäus, but when you look at the premier level of icons, the ultimate of the ultimate, the R9, the Pele Prime, the Ruud Gullit Prime, I've never used those, and I just don't see how I'll ever be able to use them. I just don't know how. Unless I spend money, and I don't have the financial standing to be able to spend that money. One, and I don't have the time to spend money playing on the game so that I could afford Ruud Gullit in August. I just like it. I don't know. And then you look at Call of Duty. There's no weapon that's in Call of Duty I can't use. And this year they've done this where they added 2 new weapons into the game this last month in December. And you know how you unlock them by reaching the 50th tier and the 100th tier of the of that they're kind of doing like Fortnite. They have battle passes
I
almost.
don't.
It's
You don't.
basically
I don't
same.
even think you pay for the battle pass.
No,
You
yeah,
just
it's part of
play
it.
the
Yeah,
game and you get it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And you get those. You reach the 50th tier, you get the SMG, and you get the 100. You reach the 100th tier, you get the assault rifle. And there's never going to be any like that in FIFA. And they're sort of papering over the cracks by saying, "Oh well, look, we gave you Joseph Martinez and Santi Cazorla." Yeah, but who the hell cares about Santi Cazorla? Joseph Martinez, yeah, he's a super sub, but again, and it was kind of cool getting. I didn't do the Santi Cazorla, but it was kind of cool getting the Joseph Martinez. Like the process is cool, but again, the process is cool, but the end result is not good enough. And I feel like maybe adding like a battle pass, something like that to FIFA could be something cool. Maybe
That you don't
having
have to pay
theme.
for because you already paid for the
Yeah,
game. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I know.
Maybe having like a
Because then
theme
even people who aren't good at
seasons.
the game, as long as they're continuously playing the game, like obviously a better player, if they're winning games or whatever, they're going to get more experience points. Absolutely,
Hmm.
that's how it works in Call of Duty too. But a player who isn't even that good will still have the chance to get that tier as well, just by playing the game normally. That's true. That's
Like
what I like about Call of Duty too, man.
the foot exchange cards are kind of like that, and I like those. I don't know how you feel about those
The
swap deal
foot swap
cards.
cards are fucking
Yeah,
awesome. I love them.
And you know
It's a good idea. Yeah.
it's a cool thing to do because it's kind of what I'm talking about, right? It's almost like here are the players that you can achieve by playing the game, and you don't really have to spend money to get them. And to be able to afford like the best one, which is I believe this one is Musa Dembele for this month. It's you need to be able to complete the SBCs, which don't cost a lot of money. You need to be able to complete the weekly and weekly challenges, whether it's squad battles or whatever, to get all of the necessary footage swap deal cards to be able to afford that player. I think that's a cool way of doing it, and I think that that's definitely a huge one of the very few big positives about the content aspect of FIFA 19, which is those swap deal cards, because it allows you to get the players by
I
playing
don't
the
think
game.
I don't think there's a single person that's ever complained about foot swaps because the foot
Yeah,
swaps are
and
fucking cool, man.
it's
Yeah.
almost
No,
like
it's
the
true.
battle pass thing, right? Because it's like a monthly based thing where you once you reach a certain tier. Now it's not tier, but it's let's say once you reach a certain amount of foot swap cards, you get them, and they're usable. Some of them are very usable. Like I see you have the Jefferson Lerma card. He's very usable. I think the Musa Dembele card is usable. And once you, I think that Juvalogi card from the first month is usable, and not for like those full icon teams, but they're usable and they're accessible to everybody, and you don't have to spend a crazy amount of time or any kind of money to be able to afford them. You could just get them by playing the
Because
game. And
they're not like high tier players, but they're good enough to use in the game just from you playing the
right,
game normally and
why
just
don't they
completing
do
the
this,
stuff.
man? Like obviously this is us being like romanticizing about what they could do to appease the player base, but it wouldn't make sense to them financially. But a cool thing to do would be like, it's team of the year month, right? How about having like a team of the year month event, like a monthly event, where you like call it the team of the year like monthly event where they would have like maybe 100 level based like little battle pass quote unquote thing where after every like fifth or sixth tier they would give you like a certain reward for playing during the month. So after the fifth tier and you reach these tiers by not winning but playing, you reach these fifth tier, you get like a 7.5k pack. You reach the and then at the end, if you manage to play the necessary amount of games to reach the last level, you get a team of the year pack, which gives you one guaranteed team of the year player, untradeable. Not only would that incentivize players to play the game and not sweat to win, but play like division rivals or something like that. And obviously, my idea isn't perfect, but it could be adjusted. But the premise would be that, and then everybody would be able to get who played enough games. Everybody would be able to get the a team of the year card. Now, some would get a Ronaldo, some would get a Marcelo, but they would get a team of the year card, and it would sort of die down this whole pay to win culture of the game because at least if you play the game, you can at least make up the pay to win gap by getting some untradeable player or something like that. Man, those would be like cool things to do, untradeable things to do that would at least give the player base some kind of incentive to play for, man. Grinding for a team of the year pack, man. Like the grind would be real, bro. It would be sick,
And
man.
it'd be
Just
fun
playing those
too.
games. It would be fun.
Everybody would be doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody would be doing it, and then
Also, before you go though,
yeah.
there's one thing that I really heavily always talk about to my viewers and to my stream all the time is that I really think they need to add a cool social concept to this game. Even if they implement it into Ultimate Team, whether it's a 5v5 competitive mode or a 5v5
Mm,
regular mode, where I can use like Hungmin's son, and then my friend can use his fucking Ronaldo, his Hullet, or
mhm.
my friend can use whatever players, and we're playing 5v5s on small nets. I think that concept is really needed in FIFA, especially because one, it's a team-oriented game, so that concept could be easily implemented instead of Call of Duty and all that. Well, Call of Duty, I get it because it's a war simulator game. Fortnite, same thing, shooter game, so you can invite your friends. But we don't even have a concept like that for FIFA that's fun because pro clubs, right? Pro clubs has so much potential. It's disgusting. Okay, that could be the best place for social interaction because the thing that makes me jealous, literally borderline jealous, is when I see people in the Call of Duty scene, in the Fortnite scene, when I see people like Tim the Tam Man go to Nick and be like, "Yo, Nick, let's play some duos today. Let's get
Mhm.
something going for our viewers because they like seeing us play together. Let's start playing with our friends so we can have a good time with each other. And if not, you can solo queue and play with other people that are also playing and have fun with them and be like, yo, man, you're doing good, blah, blah, just have fun. Don't worry about it. And just have fun in that regard. You know what I'm saying? There's
Right.
no, and obviously have a muting system because people are fucking idiots sometimes online,
Right.
right? But
Right.
I think that concept alone is so important because right now, in my honest opinion, in terms of how everything is in FIFA, pro clubs, even with its current really fucking shit state, is the best game mode in this game because it's the most fun game mode in this game. Because
Right.
you play with your friends and you're actually trying to have fun. Even if you lose, if your friends do something stupid in the game, like they're slide tackling and they get a red card, it's fucking hilarious. You don't even get mad. You're
Right.
like, it's the funniest thing in the world because it's not about winning and losing. It's about having fun and enjoying the general experience of the game.
I mean, that's an important point, bro. Like, I think it all boils down to that last thing you said right there, where you said like the winning or losing thing. It shouldn't be predicated on winning. I mean, competitive, yes, because that's the nature of competitive. But not everything should be predicated on winning and losing. There's something called game experience. There's something called in-game challenges. There's some things that can make a gaming experience worth it. Other, even if you lose, or and not have to sort of streamline the way you play or the players you use just so you can win. Because ultimately, the whole meta player concept is what players can I use to win the game, and it's only a select few of players. What formation should the formation you're using, the 4-2-3-1, is extremely not this one, the other one, right?
The other
The
one, yeah, I
four two
just use
three
this
one.
for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dynamic tactic.
yeah.
Yeah,
The other one, it's the most overused formation in the game, and rightfully so because it's overpowered. It has like basically 6 defensive players, and then it has 3 attacking players. One, the wide ones wide enough where they're like almost like wide, they're wings, but they're also narrow enough where they could support the central players. And it's a very balanced formation. It's very overpowered, but again, why do you use it? Because it gives you the best chance to win, right? You can never experiment with a 3-4-3. You can never experiment with a cool other formation. You'll never play with that
Four three
formation.
three, one of the most used formations in the
Yeah,
world. No one ever uses in this game.
no one uses it. No one. You'll never try out those cool players. You'll never try out those formations. You'll never try out anything outside of the meta sphere, because that will cost your chance to win. That will reduce your chance to win, and that goes back to the whole winning or losing thing. The whole concept of I have to win. Whereas, cool little challenge would be for this month: win 10 games using the 3-4-3 formation in division rivals, bro. Or not even the division rivals, because there's a ranking system. But in that third mode, that third ghost mode that we always talk about, that casual mode, use 3-4-3 to win 10 games with 3-4-3 to unlock, whatever X reward. How cool would that be, bro? Like, and use a full Bundesliga team to unlock you know, whatever reward, whatever player, whatever this, whatever that, whether it's through the whole year of FIFA or the monthly rewards. Monthly rewards would be a cool thing to add. But again, man, we can sit here and romanticize about, oh man, this cool thing would be awesome. That this mode, this mode, that mode, this mode, that mode. But again, why should EA do it, bro? There's not one good reason why that anyone could say why EA should do it. Uh, because they're a company, and their first and only objective should always be to make money, and that's okay. That's how capitalism works. And if they make the money by putting out a product that's this, and if that meets their status quo in terms, if that meets the quota of amount revenue they have to generate, then they're not going to go out of their way, and nor should they. From our perspective, obviously it sucks, but that's just how it is, man. Anyway, bro, I would love to continue talking this for another 40 hours, because I know you and I could sit here for like 3 days straight and just talk.
That's a
But
fact.
I've been
You got your
lagging.
work. You got your work to do, man. I got you. Don't
Yeah,
worry
I
about
got
it.
you, man. But man, anyway, I was reading some of your chat while we were talking. Everybody seems to be like cool, and they seem
Yeah,
to
no
have
one's
like a
freaking out about this, man. They like
yeah.
the discussion. They like to
They
hear
seem to
all
they
these types
seem
of
to have
stuff.
a they seem to have like an open mind to the perspective that we're offering. And again, I really appreciate everybody in the chat being cool about it, and I appreciate you for having me on, man. I think I like, man. I mean, how do I do that follow check in the chat? I've been following you
No,
for a
no.
long time.
Like I said, bro, I
Yeah,
love you, man. You're the
yeah,
best. So don't worry about
yeah.
it.
Anyway, man, I appreciate it. I hope you have a good stream. Thanks again, brother.
Yep. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. That was a good podcast, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Next podcast, we might be talking about something else. We'll see. We'll see.